And now we're in the fourth quarter of the 100 years of the Michigan Open. Who have we got here? Let's see, Greg, we've got Steve Brady, yep. J.R. Roth, Scott Hebert, Ryan Brehm, guys who are all right, still in it.
All really still good players. And Steve played in this tournament, Steve Brady, and J.R. Roth obviously can't anymore because he lives now in New Mexico. He just qualified for the senior U.S. Open, by the way. Scott Hebert is not playing this week because the National Club Pro is next week, and he didn't want to take 2 weeks off from his club and don't want to lose the main job. It's like, make sure you get paid on Friday. And then Ryan Brehm, of course, is in the U.S. Open. He's at Erin Hills this week. So, and all these guys are multiple winners. Hebert obviously has won 6. He tied Al Watch's record. So, he says he still has one more in him. He goes, if I can figure out a way to beat the college kids and the mini tour guys, I'll get I'll get my other one yet. But anyway, Steve Brady was here this week. He's a consummate gentleman. He's at Oakland Hills now. He's the head professional there now. Long teaching career. He tried 16 times to make the tour. He went to Q school, the old traditional Q school, 16 times. That's bloodletting. That's like doing a bloodletting 16 times. I can't believe he did that, but you can tell he's been shaped by that character. He's a gentleman and a great guy. He's humble, and he loves to teach and talk golf.
Obviously, if Oakland Hills would hire him to succeed Pat Criswell, why you know that he's top drawer.
Oh, you're right. You do. It seems like every Oakland Hills pro ends up in the Hall of Fame. Steve kind of did it a different way. He did it with his play. So,
yeah, we have Mike Suchak.
Yeah, Mike and Hagen, and we can go back. Yeah, you can list them off. Yeah.
So that's.
And we got J.R. Roth. He's always been an interesting character.
Yes, he's from Northville area, and J.R. grew up playing, I think, at Meadowbrook a lot, and then he became a professional, and he's become remarkable. He kind of blossomed just a little bit later, I think, in winning the championships.
Yeah, he did. He was like in his late 30s and 40s when he became a dominant player, and and really he's still a really good player. He's in his 50s and just a little bit of a different guy, kind of quiet and yet really confident. A great putter. I mean, he could really putt, and you knew when his putting stroke was on, it really didn't matter where he hit his drive because he was going to get it somewhere near the green, and he was going to make the 12-footer. So you weren't out of the hole, and nice man. He's always been really nice to me. I still talk to him every once in a while. I see him at tournaments, and he's tied with Watrous and Hebert. They all three have 15 majors in the Michigan section now. So he still really wants that, but he only gets one chance a year. It's the Tournament of Champions. So he comes back and tries to win that every time. But of course, he's got to beat Hebert, and he's got to beat everybody else who shows up for that too.
Talking about the Michigan Open and J.R. Roth, who spent his growing up years at Meadowbrook.
Took a lot of paychecks home. He took a lot of paychecks. Sure. As a matter of fact, I still communicate with him. He's out in New Mexico now. So yeah, he was quite a player. Funny story on him that when we went spikeless, or not spikeless, but what we called it spikeless. So I'm just going to keep calling it spikeless. Stephen Kircher came to me when we were playing the Tournament of Champions in a couple events up there. At Boyne, yeah. And he said to me that he would like to sponsor a tournament, and he would put up X $1,000 if they would go with this new spikeless thing, okay? So, the dollar signs clicked. I said, he said, do you think you can make it happen? Do you think those guys will do it? I said, we'll just make it. They can't tee off unless they do it. So I had to go home and sell that. And believe it or not, I sold it to Jack Seltzer, who went in to win a couple of those things. So we did do that, and I'll never forget Roth and somebody else stood up at our section spring meeting and said that I was going to get blamed for killing some of the players. They said I'm going to go to jail. Some of the players are going to get killed out there. And Roth would never go fully spikeless. He would leave one spike in, and I couldn't throw him out of the tournament for one spike, but he wouldn't, he wouldn't give in that it was the way to go. And I drove across the bridge out here at Western, and the sign is still up there: careful walking across the bridge with soft spikes. And they haven't taken it down. But yeah, okay, so JR and
How about Scott Hebert?
Scott Hebert is
The man from Escanaba who came down to the Lower Peninsula and has dominated.
I remember when he was a valet parking my car when I would go up there. All right? At Grand Traverse. Yep. At Grand Traverse.
He was assistant pro there.
Yep.
Then he became, I think, head pro, and now he's at Traverse City Country.
Right. And I used to kid him. Every time I give him a winner's check, I say, take this money, go play the tour, and leave our purse alone here. And he kept winning the money.
The big winner, 50-year-old Bob Ackerman. Bob, come on up. Let's start giving you all this stuff, and then you can say a few words. So, Bill, and where's Andrew? Andrew, would you come on back up and help us with the presentation? Right here? Okay, gentlemen, would you one of each on each side of Bob, and let's start with the crystal here, and hand him that if you would, please. You can lift it off the base, certainly. You're the general manager. You can do whatever you want. You run the damn place.
And we've had a lot of good venues for the Michigan Open over the years.
Oh, tremendous venues. And, he was in JR won at the Bear, which is kind of the golden era. There were, 26 of them, I think, in a row there. And at that resort, 23 on the Bear. And the Bear was just, the Paul Nine, the original developer, said, Jack Nicklaus, build me the hardest golf course in Michigan, the hardest golf course you can make. And Jack didn't really want to, but he did it. And when it first opened with the tall grass, and I know you kept a best ball that first tournament, it was incredible. We all laughed about
It was like 81, 82 or something like that.
Yeah, that was the worst ball, right?
Yeah,
the worst
yeah,
ball.
worst ball.
And there were huge scores. Well, JR made a 12 on the fourth hole in one of his Michigan Opens, and he ends up being in the Hall of Fame, and he won it. So anybody can make a 12. So don't give up if you make a 12. And just a relentless competitor. That's the one thing I think about.
I'm Michael Patrick Shields, live at Grand Traverse Resort and Spa, the Bear, right behind me. The last Michigan Open at the Bear after 26 years, and I've been fortunate enough to be here for the last 10 or so. And I got to tell you, I'm going to miss it for certain here. It was like a rite of spring, or a rite of summer, if you will, to come here to idyllic Traverse City and have the first big major event of the year right here, just a few hundred yards from the East Bay of Grand Traverse Bay, on this toughest golf course in the state of Michigan, with the toughest field in the state of Michigan, and have over 200 of the top amateurs and professionals going at it for 4 days, was a real gas. And to have it in this setting was a fantastic escape, and I'm going to miss it, frankly. But I think it's ironic that Scott Hebert, who has won the Michigan Open 6 times, tied with Al Watrous, was looking at his last opportunity to win the Michigan Open here on his home course. He's the head professional here at Grand Traverse and grew up around these parts, and he won the Michigan Open here 6 other times. He would have had one more chance at the Michigan Open to surpass Al Watrous, and it would have happened right behind me, and he was well underway, just 4 shots behind after the opening round, when his wife Lori decided it was time to have their second child. So he withdrew from the tournament. And that, to me, is sort of touching, because as we see, things come to an end, and they come to new life, and they start all over again. And we put everything in perspective when we hear a story like that. And so the Michigan Open will move to Orchard Lake Country Club, where it will get new life. And at the same time, we'll always remember these great days with Jack Saylor and all the other many great writers and reporters who came through here and enjoyed themselves very much and enjoyed watching this great golf. We never played any good golf, but we sure enjoyed watching it, and we sure enjoyed getting together and renewing our friendships and renewing our admiration for the folks who put the hours in on the practice range, go through the qualifying, and come here to the Michigan Open and enjoy their moment in the sun. The Bear has enjoyed its moment in the sun for 26 years, and now we move on. So.
And the venue is always, I guess, part of the story. But in that that last 25 years, the Bear was kind of the dominant place, and a lot of people still wish it was there because it turned into a family vacation for 200 golf pros.
Well, it's like they like the Michigan Amateur to be at Charlevoix at Belvedere, and I know that my daughters, in all the years that I was covering golf, when with the Amateur was up at Belvedere, why, that was their vacation week.
Yeah, you're right. And well, Scott Hebert, he actually worked there. He's a little different story. He was working at the Bear as a bag kid, just out of Ferris. He actually didn't graduate in professional golf management. He graduated with a business degree, but he decided he wanted to be in golf, and he had started playing it. He'd always been a baseball player as a kid, but he got into golf, and then he worked in the bag shop there. Met his wife there, who was a waitress in the lounge, and on, and he and lived in Grand Rapids for a little while. But he went out on the mini tours. He roomed with Chad Campbell, who's a great player on the PGA Tour, and I think he's told me he kind of decided at the end when I couldn't beat my roommate on a regular basis, I knew I was in trouble. It was time to go home, quit paying my roommate. So he was a great player, and obviously he's won 6 Michigan Opens, and he was dominant on the Bear, 4 in a row, which no one had ever done before, and he's still a really good player. He's got the 15 majors, and he's won most of those in the 2 big events, the PGA and the Michigan Open, and a great guy, and still really competitive. He's at Traverse City Country Club now and loves his job. That's probably why he's not playing this week. He wants to make sure he keeps that baby. But great guy. And
one of the great ones that is out on tour right now and playing in the United States Open is Ryan Brehm, the long ball Ryan Brehm.
Right. Well, he was a legend when he was like 15 because he hit it so far, and he's in a golf family up in Mount Pleasant, and Mount Pleasant already had Danny Pohl and Cindy Fig Courier and Kelly Robbins and Doug LaBelle, who's actually playing in the Michigan Open this year. He's home from his PGA Tour days and now works in the family business at home and plays still some, but he's still very competitive. But Ryan was this kid who everybody thought automatic stardom, said, well, he hits it farther than Pohl, he putts great, he's tremendous, and he really was a tremendous player. And he's an example of everybody turns pro now. They come out of college, they all turn pro, they're all trying to make it. The odds have gone up, it's astronomically hard. And he stuck it out. He's age 30, and he's in his first full year on the PGA Tour. He's playing in the U.S. Open. So he stuck it out long enough, and everybody thought for sure, he's going to make it. I remember watching him and Brian Stewart, who's also on the tour, and Matt Harmon from Grand Rapids. They're all 3 on the range at an AJGA event up at Traverse City, and everybody's predicting, which one do you think will make the tour first? Because they were all really good. They all had shot like 65, and everybody's saying, Brehm will make it. I don't think Stewart will make it. He doesn't look like he hits it as far as those guys do, And Matt Harmon hits it a long way, too, and became Big Ten Player of the Year at Michigan State and everything with Brehm on the same team, Big Ten champions. But here's Brian Stewart, made it first. And not only that, it's because he hits it straight and he makes every putt he looks at, which, is golf. So
that is the that's the secret. Thanks very much, Greg. We've been talking with Greg Johnson, who's covering golf on all corners of the state of Michigan, and we're very fortunate to have Greg doing this great job.
Thank you, Jack. It's a pleasure.
Well, now we're talking with Kevin Helm, who is the man at the helm of the Michigan Open, has been for not all of the 100 years, but I think something like the last 14, and doing a terrific job. The tournament has grown. Everybody enjoys it. And Kevin, you can tell us all about it and how you got into this. How you came up from some other state. I don't know where it was, but anyway, you came up here to pure Michigan, and tell us a little bit about what's been going on for you.
Well, thank you. First, thanks for coming out and covering some of the Michigan Open, our 100th anniversary of the Michigan Open. We're very excited about not only this year's event, but the strong history, rich tradition that this championship has had over the years. As far as me, it's been my 14th year, I guess, as executive director of the Michigan PGA. Prior to that, I was with the section for 8 additional years, so it feels like I've been here forever. But we've been fortunate. We've had a great staff. We've had great board of directors and officers that have been great leaders over the years. And as you know, we had a few hiccups in the past, but fortunately, we've had a lot of great leadership that's helped guide us out of that time. And now we're doing great. Golf's doing great in Michigan, and this is just one example of what great tournament playing opportunities golfers in Michigan have.
Yeah, good. Take your time. I'll be in there. Outstanding play on a difficult golf course, 16 under par. Champion of the 100th Michigan Open, presented by Roth Automotive Group, Matt Thompson. Traveling trophy, so you can keep that for 1 year, but then it comes back. So you have to, next year you're going to have to bring it back. And when you look at some of the names on there, Matt, I think you'll know you're in great company. Congratulations.
Well, over 100 years, or 100 Michigan Opens, we have had the class of not only of Michigan, but of golf in general. These guys, they grew up in the game, grew up as caddies, and then got out. Some of them went right from high school turning pros and into clubs. Some of them went to college, and we can be very, very proud, I think, of all the Michigan professionals who have won the Michigan Open Championship. Well, Chick had a wintertime job down there in Ocean Reef, Florida, and he met some folks he had known from his early days in Dayton. And one of them, Bill Sigenthaler, had the 9-hole Agaming golf course up at beautiful Torch Lake, and he invited Chick to come up, and he wanted the 9 more holes. So Chick went up there and added the nine holes and had a place right there in Torch Lake, and he lived a fine time until finally, time catches all of us, and he passed on.